how are you? It's Roberta here with another car conversation. And what's on my mind today, other than feeling fabulous, is the topic of dating again. But I realize this topic of dating and this process and journey of dating has so many nuances. And every day you either learn something new about your partner, yourself, or just general expectations and thoughts that pop up. Today's thought that popped up was making time. The concept, the act of, the process of making time for your emerging, budding relationship. So, the first few weeks, months, maybe this honeymoon phase where there's a couple of things. Probably managed expectations. You're so early on in your dating that you don't expect to see the person every single day. But you probably do expect to talk to them a couple times a week. And the more you grow, the closer you get, that expectation turns into not just a couple times a week, but maybe almost every single day. I personally have gotten to the point where I talk to my guy not just every single day, but usually several times a day. It may start out as text messages in the morning as I'm getting ready, then maybe midday if I have a break, just to check in, say hello, nothing, too serious or heavy. And then evening time as you're winding down, that's the person you may choose to spend your evening with, talking to them, catching up, watching TV while they're watching TV or whatever. So it goes from every now and then to a couple times a week to daily. And then maybe even within that daily scheme, several times within the day, which is beautiful, right? You're building on a relationship with somebody, you're learning them, you're understanding the nuance, and you're just generally sharing your day with them, which is a wonderful thing, right? Hey, this just happened, or here's what I'm thinking about, or man, I can't wait to get lunch. Like literally the person has become a part of your day. So that's a beautiful thing. And then you get some reality checks. So I had a reality check this week because his family came to visit, which is awesome. It's amazing. I definitely am grateful that his family is there to visit with him. But you know what that means? If you are literally entertaining people who are coming to visit you, you can't be on the phone. You can't be on FaceTime. You have to engage with those people as they have spent their time, their money, their resources to leave their own home to come to your home. So I'm so grateful that his family is here visiting with him. That brings him a lot of joy, that makes him happy, and, I'm here for it. What that means for me, spoiled little me, is, oh shoot, I don't get to talk to you definitely several times a day because you have to engage with the people who are in your home. And I realized that I felt sad about that. I just definitely felt sad. Like I miss talking to him. And then I had this aha moment of, oh, I guess I could also understand those moments where I have to pause and get things done with my kids, and I'm not available. I'm at an event with work. I'm at work. I'm doing something with the kids. I'm getting them ready. And it could be several hours or whatever that I'm just not available to sit down and give my full attention to him. So when I realized this weekend that I did not get his full attention, no shade, it was an aha moment for me. The other thing about dating and making time, not just your time of the day, your normal cadence of the day, the second part I talk about is the distance. Woo! I do not live close to him at all. It's probably about an hour difference. An hour and some change without traffic. Normally my day to day, I usually drive about 45 minutes to 50 minutes to work. So I'm used to being in the car for, longer lengths of time. Thus, this propensity to have these car conversations. But there comes a point in your relationship where you want to give a quick hug, give a quick kiss, stop by, drop something off. And it's just not possible for either one of us to drive that sort of distance every single day. Well, let me rephrase that. It's not possible for me to drive that distance every single day. One, I think on top of my normal work commute, it would be a bit exhausting to do that during the week. And I would prefer to make that sort of commute maybe once a week or, mostly on the weekends. The other element of making such a commute commitment is that I do have to be back home with my family and make sure my kids are, managed and taken care of and settled in for the evening times. So it's not so quick to say, yeah, I'll just pop by, after work on my way home. That's just not possible. There comes different parts of your relationship where you just may need to see and hold and touch that person. Just because of whatever you may be going through that particular day. And I realize that it can be sad when I cannot show up in that way. So here is the caution for everybody. Do not create unrealistic expectations for yourself, and be really clear with the person whom you are dating of what your true time availability is. And do not compromise important time like family commitments previously made or kid commitments that you truly cannot walk back and you cannot take back. For example, if you know you're supposed to go to your kid's baseball game and you have like 3 or 4 hours set aside for that in the afternoon, let's say it starts at 3 o'clock, you're going to get off work at 2, and you were thinking, I'll go to the game from, 3 to 7, great. Do not take that time and give it to the person you're dating. Because what you have just done is you have diminished the time, that commitment that you made to your kids or to someone whom you had made a promise to. Yes, I'll promise I'll be there. I would say that behavior begins a slippery slope of putting a man or a woman over your children. Putting a man or a woman in a place where you start to put them on a pedestal and diminish the commitments you've made to other people. I would say instead, what you need to do is be clear with this new budding relationship. These are things I have to do. I cannot move them. They are important to me. They are priorities in my life. And the things that are flexible and that are not priorities, I will adjust. How you behave now will become habits for how your relationship goes in the future. Do not create a habit that you cannot come back from, and do not create a habit that takes away from other people who you told were important to your life, especially your children. And then don't engage in risky behavior like, he lives too far, let's get a place together. No, I do not advise. Do not make such a huge commitment of an apartment or whatever for convenience sake because he or she lives too far away. If you need to manage time, then you just need to coordinate your life a little differently in advance, and then be clear when you say no to some people, other people who you're not dating, who are not, your family, in order to free up time for your significant other. You can't be bobbing all over the place. And I'm learning this from experience, right? Like, I called my guy today and I was like, hey, just want to let you know that I'm out of town Tuesday through Sunday. And he's like, okay. And then he paused, and as the conversation went on, he said, when do you come back? I said, Sunday. He's like, damn. And he realized that I'm gone for 5 days, which, I haven't seen him this past week. Maybe about 4 days ago I saw him on Tuesday, and he's with family, and by the time he sees me again, could be nearly 2 weeks. No one's fault. There's no blame. It's, something I had scheduled ahead of time to be out of town for this conference. But I would definitely offer up things like, if you can get an earlier flight to get back a few hours earlier, okay, that doesn't diminish commitments to anyone else. It's just, you will pay a little extra to change your flight. If you can be sure to make time while you're out of the state to definitely have time on phone calls and FaceTime. Like, don't let your evenings be so filled with other people that it doesn't have to be filled with other people. So there are ways you can make time, but I've definitely realized today that the proactive communication of, hey, I'm out of town, is super important to help manage surprise. Like, I didn't want him to be surprised, like, oh, where are you? Oh, I'm, not home. So I'd rather share it proactively and go from there. And the other thing I think it's important to do, and the other reason I think it's important to do this, is because while you're dating, that person has to acknowledge for themselves if they are able to accommodate your not accommodate, just, they have to understand for themselves if they're okay with, the lifestyle you have, or ask themselves, how do I actually feel about that? Like I said, there are things we do in our life that are so unnecessary, like hanging out just to hang out when there was actually no purpose to it. But if you're going on conferences, you have like work events or like meaningful commitments that you have to engage in, that's one thing. But if you're just out here in these streets just to be out here for like no good reason, then that's a different assessment of whether or not you're spending time with your significant other, or you're just out here in these streets because you're bored. Question to ponder. But that was on my mind today because I am actually I feel bad. I feel guilt. I feel shamed. I feel poorly, like, oh shit, like, does he like it? Does he not like it? Does it upset him? Do I need to do something differently? Will he like me less? That's a slippery slope to go down in your mindset, because if you keep trying to change your behavior to manage someone's response, you'll always be behaving to manage someone else's response. And that's not how we should live our lives. Be clear. I work in the entertainment industry, and I work on these days. When I'm not working on these days, I'm available because that's just not my work. That's a different work schedule. And we'll commit that these are our date days. These are the days that we make time for each other. So making time during a dating relationship has so many whys as to why it can be tight, challenging, tough. Do not make risky adjustments and set unreasonable expectations and then blur boundaries, because you cannot walk back from that once you blur the boundaries. And just definitely, don't try to manage your behavior or change your behavior to manage or minimize someone else's response. they have to ask themselves as well how they feel about what they're encountering and what they like to do about it. It's on them to be responsible and communicative to you about how they're feeling. It's not one-sided. So dating is fun, but man, this particular dating relationship for me is super meaningful. It's not just a high and by. It really is something that I want to be my best self at, if that makes sense. There's a lot of things I learned coming out of my divorce, but I really want to be my best self and figure out how I become better, how I show up better and differently in a relationship. And I love that he brings that out of me, that I want to be better for myself and better for the people around me. And so I will continue sharing my own self-awareness and reflections, because we all have these thoughts and we all wonder if that's a good decision or a bad decision. But I would be here to encourage you to be your authentic self. Don't be a shell of yourself, and don't try to be someone else as you pursue the things that you want. All right, guys, it's been fun. Until next time, bye.